Disaster strikes for the Raptors at the NBA draft lottery as rumors continue to swirl about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside The Raptors. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Raptors and NBA writer Ryan Wolstat. And Ryan, everyone was looking forward to the NBA draft lottery, even though the Raptors had just a 7.5% chance at the number one overall pick and a shot at Cooper Flag. But in the end, the Raptors fall to ninth, which is a position they've been there before. Obviously, Tracy McGrady, DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, some pretty good picks there, but hard to draw any historical context or historical line to what could potentially happen here. But we'll get to the Giannis Antetokounmpo story in a moment because there's lots of speculation there. But if you're Masai Ujiri, you're Bobby Webster, how are you feeling about everything the morning after?
I mean, I think you're not feeling great. They had pretty high hopes. Masai hasn't been up there on the dais for quite a while now, maybe since Pirtle, I think, was picked back in the day. So they brought out the big guns, and it didn't go as planned. You have to be disappointed. Anytime there's a guy like Cooper Flag and even the Rutgers guard Dylan Harper at the top of a draft, you have extra incentive to want to get up there and have a shot at those guys because those guys are potentially franchise changers. And they really could have moved the needle for the Raptors, and they're going to do it for, I mean, I can't even say like without being shocked that like for Dallas and San Antonio, like, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, but now the Raptors are picking ninth. There's a clear hierarchy at the top, as mentioned. There's a bunch of guys in the next tier, and then there's another tier, and then there's probably a tier after that they'll be sorting through. So you kind of look at, did someone drop? I know the other Rutgers player, Ace Bailey, his stock is, he measured in shorter than expected, and he's got a few things to work on. So maybe he falls, or do you just duplicate something you already have, or do you reach for a big man because they really could use it? But yeah, it's not a great spot to be in. It could be worse. Like I was just thinking, only RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, and Scotty Barnes are higher draft picks than a ninth pick, so it's not the worst thing. But it's not great because they're probably their last time having a chance to get a top 10 or even a top 5 pick for a long time because they do have more talent than a lot of the really terrible teams. So yeah, it's not a great thing, but it's not the worst. They could have fallen one more spot. There's a lot of teams that got screwed over a lot worse than them, but they were hoping for better for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, the season that they had where they were, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, trying to openly tank in some of these games, taking out their starters in the fourth quarter. And ultimately, it didn't work out in the end. But it all kind of ties into now the offseason, as you spoke about, whether or not they, keep this pick remains to be seen. But, a lot of talk at the moment about Giannis Antetokounmpo and these reports surfacing that he potentially is open to maybe going somewhere. It's not looking great in Milwaukee with Damian Lillard set to be out next season. The Bucks obviously getting a little bit older here. The Raptors have some picks. They have some young pieces, but we saw last year with the addition, or this past season with the addition of guys like Brandon Ingram and handing out the contracts to Emmanuel Quickley and Scotty Barnes. The Raptors feel like they have a bit of a core here, but we know, we've seen it. Kawhi Leonard, of course, is the example everyone loves to pick, of course, and with Masai Ujiri's history with Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's always been talked about that maybe one day he would take that big swing. If you're the Raptors front office, is now that time.
I think you have to try, like as you mentioned, Rob. Like they are really connected to Giannis. Masai especially has been for years and years. He tried to get into the draft to get him. He tried a couple times to hope to have a chance to sign him as a free agent, but Giannis ended up staying in Milwaukee. I think now's the time for a divorce there for sure. Like the Bucks are completely out of it. They have no chance. Damian Lillard's up there. They're a mess. They owe a bunch of picks moving forward from prior trades. Like they need to move the guy, and now is the chance. Do I think Toronto has the pieces to get done? Unfortunately, if people love Giannis, I don't think they do. Any trade would have to start with Scotty Barnes. I think you really would have needed a top 2 or 3 pick to add to that package to really entice Milwaukee. Because if they do move him, everyone's going to be lining up for a guy that's at worst the 5th best player in the league. And there's a case he's the 3rd or 4th. I mean, he was 3rd in MVP voting again. He's really, really good still. He's really durable. He's going to be awesome for a long time to come. And now just think of what, like, say the Spurs could offer for him and still have plenty left over. They could offer the Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle, and a bunch of other picks. They could offer what's probably going to be Dylan Harper this year and a bunch of other stuff for him. And like Oklahoma City, they've got more picks than the rest of the league combined pretty much, and a lot of young guys. They could offer a ton for him. Houston, I just don't think the Raptors have the horses to get a deal done. But moving the pick could be an interesting idea. Like if you package it with like an RJ Barrett or a Quickly or even like a Grady Dick, what could you get for that? But on the other hand, as I mentioned a little earlier, this is going to be their last shot probably at a prospect in the top 10. And they also need pretty badly to have a cost controlled asset because that payroll is really bloated and they're very close to the luxury tax. So this gives them a chance at 9 to get a guy if they pick the right guy, and they have done a really good job of drafting in the past. This is a guy that'll be cost controlled for a long time to come, and that's pretty important in this day and age.
Well, you mentioned the potential for San Antonio to go after Giannis. I can't imagine a Giannis and Victor Wembanyama front court might be
Very
the most
soon.
terrifying duo we've ever seen defensively in the NBA. But a lot to be decided here by the Raptors over the next few months, and we'll be talking a lot about it, I'm sure. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Ryan Wolstat, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.